Hello there, dear friends, and welcome once again to the Relax Fantasy Review. Today, we're starting a new series in the brand new Player's Handbook. We're going to be talking about the classes of D&D as the core function of what makes your character what they are. Classes are the archetypes as to where your skills, your weapons, and your magic all stem from. We talked a lot about your species, your background, and how those are pivotal to character creation, and they certainly are. But your class is what defines you as the game continues over the many levels that you will be progressing. It turns out that a background isn't what you're doing now, is what you used to do. And your species, other than a couple exceptions, doesn't really change as you level up, but your class does. This is how you grow as an adventurer. And as with many things, we're going to be starting at the beginning with the Barbarian. As it turns out, Barbarians are one of the easiest classes in D&D to play, because they just work. It is very simple. Blunt implement problem. Barbarians are great at solving problems by smashing them to pieces. And they're well known for being a junior player's favorite thing because you always do the same stuff. You run in, you hit stuff really, really hard. However, in the 2024 Player's Handbook, the nuance of the Barbarian has actually been improved. And we're going to be discussing all the way through the Barbarian's career from level 1 to level 20, how they work, and going through the details. We're not going to be doing a side-by-side comparison, 2014 to 2024, if that's something you're looking for. Instead, we're going to be just reviewing this as a blank slate. What is a Barbarian in 2024, and how does it work? We'll get into the details here in just a sec. Before we do, though, I'd like to let you know, Relax Fantasy Review has memberships. For just $1 a month, you can support me here on YouTube and get a couple benefits. First, you get a little badge next to your name in the comments, letting folks know that you're a supporter. But also, you get early access to my videos. I upload videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I upload them a day early for members only. If that interests you, you can click the join button. It's just down there next to the subscribe button. I'd love to see you in the comments with your member badges. And if it doesn't interest you, that's totally fine too. Just watching the video, liking and subscribing, all that stuff that costs nothing at all, is a great way to support me. I'm very thankful for you being here, so thank you for watching my content here on YouTube. So let's talk Barbarians. Level 1. You're starting off, brand new adventure, level 1 Barbarian. What do you got? Your hit die is a D12. What this means is that at level 1, you will get hit points equal to 12 plus your con modifier, your constitution mod. And as you level up, then you'll roll a d12 or take the average of a d12, which is 7. And that is the HP you will gain every level. So you've got the biggest hit die in the game. No one else uses a d12. You've got the most hit points. And yeah, this is definitely 10 out of 10 because it's better than anyone else. Paladins and fighters and rangers have d10s, but d12 is just the Barbarian. You have proficiency in strength and constitution saving throws. Con saves are fantastic to have proficiency in. They make you really, really resilient, especially against like poisons and things. Strength saves are a little less common, but they're still relatively good for, you know, physical resistance, for not being physically moved or shoved or anything like that. There's, you know, a lot that strength saves will do for you. So I think 8 out of 10 and 9 out of 10 respectively. As far as your skills, Barbarians are not skill monkeys. You know, you can get athletics, you can get intimidation. You know, you basically get a list of 6 skills, you pick 2 of them. This is, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I like skill proficiencies, but this is definitely low tier as far as other classes go, so I'm going to give that 7 out of 10. But when it comes to fighting, Barbarians know their stuff, and they have proficiency in all weapons. Simple weapons, martial weapons, the lot. There is not a single weapon Barbarians cannot use. This is, of course, 10 out of 10 because it means you can choose your fighting style. On top of this, you also have proficiency in all armor except heavy. So you've got light armor, medium armor, and shields. So yeah, you can go two-handed weapon, you can dual wield, you can go sword and board with a shield, you could even unarmed fight if you really want to. Basically, even if you wanted to be a dex-based barbarian for some reason, you can. You can wear light armor and carry bows if you wish to. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for the weapons, 9 out of 10 for the armor. We are lacking heavy armor, but honestly, that's not really a detriment because of some of the other features we're going to get. Speaking of which, at level 1, we are granted the feature Rage. This is the famous barbarian feature that everybody knows and everybody loves. As a bonus action, you can enter into a rage state. This rage state has been tweaked a little since the old days, but I'll try to describe it here. You embody primal power in you. Basically, you use the power of nature and of the elements and of the world, and you channel it into yourself. And in this case, it gives you several benefits, the main one being damage resistance. You are resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage while you're raging. You also do extra damage whenever you hit with a melee attack. So it's just a couple points per hit, which does go up over time. The rage does have to be sustained. You can do this by attacking a creature, by making a creature, forcing a creature to make a saving throw, so grappling also maintains it, and other things like that. Or if you can do neither of those things, you can just take a bonus action to sustain it. This is really, really handy. The only real downside to rage is that while you are raging, you cannot cast or concentrate on spells. Now, for a barbarian, this isn't an issue because they don't know spells. They're not spellcasters at all. But it makes it tough to tap into barbarian as a caster. If you're a wizard, if you're a sorcerer, if you're a warlock, and you're thinking, damage resistance, that sounds good, that's worth a bonus action, it means you can't use your magic. So it does have that really big downside. The rage lasts for 10 minutes, up to 10 minutes, assuming you keep sustaining it. You can use a few of them per day. You start off with 2. Again, it continues to gain more uses as you go up in level, roughly following your proficiency bonus. And you do get 1 back on a short rest, and all of them back on a long rest. So, all in all, Rage is the classic Barbarian feature, and I would love to give it 10 out of 10. It bothers me a little bit that I would love it if it took your concentration. I feel like that was a design decision that could have been made. If you used concentration to Rage, so you couldn't concentrate on a spell, but if you could still throw cantrips out or something, that'd be cool, or whatever. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure where the design space would be for this. Maybe that would be too strong. But in any case, I give Rage 9 out of 10. The lack of spellcasting ability, especially with Magic Initiate being in the backgrounds and lots of species giving you spells, which sometimes are cantrips, it's very likely your Barbarian may have a spell or two in their history or in their species, and not being able to use it when you Rage is a real bummer. Still a great feature, don't get me wrong, but I'm giving it 9 out of 10 for this one big flaw in it. And again, maybe it would be broken if you didn't, but that's what 10 out of 10s are for. You also get unarmored defense. This is a way to boost your defense. The standard defensive armor class rating for any creature in the game is 10 plus their dexterity modifier. By putting armor on, you increase that. And of course, a barbarian can wear light armor and even medium armor, but they also can just wear no armor, and if they do that, they get unarmored defense, giving them an AC of 10, plus their dex modifier, plus their constitution modifier. This is a good way to boost up your defense. Is it going to be better than medium armor? Not usually. Medium armor, even if you just take the standard scale mail, is 14 plus your dex modifier up to a maximum of 2. So assuming you have a 14 dex, that's a 16 armor class. If you were using an armored defense, you would need to have at least a +3 in your dex and your con to match that. Not impossible, but it certainly makes you more ability score stripped. You need to stack both of them to make this work. It does work with shields, which is great. You can still put a shield on and benefit from this. But it doesn't really beat medium armor until the higher levels when you've pumped your stats a little bit. And honestly, considering barbarians usually fight with their strength, it's going to be later in the game where your unarmored defense will even match medium armor. but it also means you don't have to suffer the stealth, the lack of stealth that medium armor can give. So I'm giving this 9 out of 10. It's still something that is helpful. It doesn't limit you with your shield use. And I think that if you lose your armor, this is just something that will help you out. And I think that it's a good feature to have. So 9 out of 10. Final thing you get at level 1 is weapon masteries. I've done a whole video on the weapon masteries. I definitely can see, you know, the topple or the push weapon masteries being great with a barbarian. Maybe even the cleave or the graze ones could work here. There's loads of weapons, the big heavy hitters, and weapon masteries just push the utility of the barbarian much further than just run up and hit things really hard. Now you can run up and hit things really hard and knock them over or push them away. There's lots of great stuff here. So I'm going to give weapon masteries 10 out of 10, which I'm going to do all the time anyway. Now, let's move on from level 1 and go to level 2. At level 2, barbarians get Danger Sense. Danger Sense gives you advantage on your dexterity saving throws. This basically means that all 3 of the physical stats, strength, con, and dex, you are going to be great at the saves. You're either proficient or have advantage in all 3. This is fantastic. I think that advantage on saves that's just flat, unless you're incapacitated in some way, is really, really solid. Dex saves are relatively common, so I'm giving this 10 out of 10. I think it's one of the best features barbarians get at low levels. And then they get the Reckless Attack feature. This is a favorite feature of optimizers because you basically, when you attack, you can elect to attack recklessly. When you do so, all attacks you make until the start of your next turn, so this includes your turn and opportunity attacks, are made with advantage, which is awesome. Advantage is powerful. Makes you hit way easier. The sacrifice is that when you do this, your enemies also attack at advantage. This is one of those things where you're really playing into the idea that you want your enemies to hit you. You're the tank. You're standing up at the front, taunting enemies and getting them to come at you. By giving them advantage, it means they're more likely to hit you than they are to hit your allies, you know, the squishies in the back, the ranged, the spellcasters. You want them to focus on you. So in reality, it's actually a boon, but it does mean you are giving enemies advantage, which is technically, like, not as good if you didn't reckless attack. I think you should reckless attack all the time. Like, it's so rare that you shouldn't reckless attack. Like, if you're on your last leg, I still would reckless attack because an enemy with advantage is dangerous, but an enemy that's dead is not. So I have to say that even though I'm giving reckless attack 9 out of 10, I'm only giving that because my own internal metrics say that the downside of giving enemies advantage is a problem. I still think it's an amazing feature, and I think that it should be used most of the time. It's just 9 out of 10 because, you know, it'd be nice if you could just, you know what I'd take? I'd take 1 attack with advantage and no advantage for the enemy, rather than all attacks at advantage. I feel like that would be a 10 out of 10 reckless attack. That's how I would design it. But it's all attacks, you know, 2 or 3 if you get them, and then your enemies get advantage. So I'm going to give it 9 out of 10. So then, we move on to level 3. Level 3, you do get your subclass, but we're not going to talk about that in this video. We're just talking about base Barbarian. You get a second thing, though, Primal Knowledge. This grants you an extra skill proficiency, which I love. It means you have 3 now from your class, and that's awesome. And then it says something interesting. When you are in your rage, you can use your strengths modifier instead of a different ability, depending on which one we're talking about, for a skill check. The skills include acrobatics, intimidation, perception, stealth, and survival. So these 5 skills use dexterity, charisma, wisdom, and yeah, these are very specific skills that do not use strength normally. But if you're in your rage state, the idea is that, again, once again, this is not just you getting mad. I saw a lot of memes going around on the internet saying, oh, the barbarian is so mad they see better, or they're so mad they get sneaky. It's like, that's not exactly how this is. Rage represents a primal energy within you. And yeah, you can channel it for damage resistance, but you can also channel it for, you know, better acrobatics, to look scarier, to have heightened senses like an animal, to sneak better like an animal, or to track better. It literally represents this whole primal state that you're in. I think that it is solid because now you aren't as worried about some of those mental stats, the charisma and wisdom, and even your dex, which you should have a decent score in. Now you can just focus on your strength, and these skills won't suffer. Perception and stealth are two of my favorite skills in the game, and giving them to strength instead of wisdom and dex is phenomenal, and I think it's worth 10 out of 10. Of course, you're going to have to continuously use your bonus action if you use this outside of combat. Basically, you're going to have to say to your DM, I am always using my bonus action to sustain my rage while I sneak past this situation for the next minute or two. Always maintaining rage so that I can use strength for stealth. A solid feature, very unique, 10 out of 10. Then level 4 comes along, you get your ability score increase or feat. That we're not going to discuss that because everybody gets that. Then level 5 comes along and you get extra attack. This is the classic moment in all martial characters. This is why level 5 is such a turning point. Spellcasters get 3rd level spells and their cantrips scale. Martials get extra attack. Now when you take the attack action, you attack twice instead of once, meaning, and you don't even have to use a bonus action, it's just automatic. 2 attacks. Considering that all of your attacks get a bonus from your rage, and if you took a feat that boosts your damage or gives you a bonus action attack as well, like Polearm Master or Great Weapon Master, now you're just adding more to your power. So extra attack is solid, I give it 9 out of 10. Then you also get the fast movement feature. If you aren't wearing heavy armor, you get a plus 10 boost to your speed. Now, you're not proficient in heavy armor anyway, so I don't know why you'd be using it. This basically means that if you are standard 30-foot movement speed character, now you're moving 40 feet permanently. And that's awesome. Movement is one of those things that I rank very highly in D&D. Positioning on the battlefield's important. And it sucks when you're the Barbarian and you have to use your action to dash just to get close to the enemies on round 1, because now you can't hit people. That extra 10 feet of movement can make a big difference. If any of you have ever played Baldur's Gate 3, you know what it's like to get any sort of item that boosts your speed by 10 feet. It's awesome. And I think in D&D it's awesome as well. So 10 out of 10 for that. Then we move to level 7. If I skip any levels, it's probably because they get a subclass feature instead of a class feature. So yeah. Level 7, Feral Instinct. This gives you advantage on your initiative rolls. Initiative rolls means you get to go first in combat more often, especially if somebody in the party has the alert feat. Then having anyone with advantage on initiative is awesome because the person who needs to go first is going to. But the Barbarian is often the one who wants to get up front and stop enemies from getting to the back line. So yeah, advantage on initiative I think is one of the best class features you can get. Barbarians get it at level 7 automatically, 10 out of 10. The other thing they get is Instinctive Pounce. This says that when they enter their rage as a bonus action, with the same bonus action, they can move half of their movement speed. So think about this. Your standard 30-foot speed species, you got your plus 10 boost from fast movement. When you use your bonus action to enter your rage, you can move 20 feet in any direction you want, and you haven't even used your movement yet. That means on the first turn of combat, most barbarians are going to be moving 60 feet. That is a massive boost to their maneuverability. Now, it's not permanent. You don't get this every turn while you're raging. It's just with that bonus action on the rage. This means that if you were to bonus action rage, move 20 feet, and then you dash, you're only going to get 80 more feet because you haven't made your movement speed 60. It's still 40. The 20 is half movement with the rage action, or rage bonus action. So it's not a speed boost, it's just a special movement you get to do. Still very good, still very powerful. I give it 9 out of 10. Now here we get into something a little more complicated. Level 9, Brutal Strike. This is a weird one. Basically what it says is that when you reckless attack, so you are granting your enemies advantage and you're granting yourself advantage, you can forego the advantage, giving up that double dice roll on your attack. Instead, you can choose to get a buff to the attack itself once per turn. You can do an extra D10 of damage with the attack. That's actually a decent boost once per turn. That's another 5 or 6 on average damage that you're doing. And then, with the attacks, you can do extra features. Forceful Blow and Hamstring Blow. Forceful Blow says you can smash a creature and move them 15 feet without a saving throw. So you're giving up advantage to have a guaranteed forced movement. This also stacks with things like the Push Weapon Mastery. So if you hit a creature with a Forceful Blow Brutal Strike, you move them 25 feet. And then you also get to move half your movement speed with the same attack without provoking opportunity attacks. So even if you're not using the Push Weapon Mastery, 15 foot to smash, and then you run right back up to them and keep hitting them. The other thing, Hamstring Blow, reduces their speed by 15 feet until the end of their next turn. Not quite as powerful as Forceful Blow, but still handy if you need to slow an enemy down for any reason. The trick here is that you're giving up advantage. You're getting a damage boost and a utility buff to your attack. Great stuff, but advantage is really, really good. And giving it up sucks. I would definitely be like, I'm still reckless attacking and just attacking with advantage most of the time. This is great if you want to slow an enemy down or knock them into something or off a cliff or something, but I'm not going to use it all the time. I'm not even going to use it very often. I'd rather have advantage on my hits than have that extra D10 of damage most of the time. If I have advantage from a different source, like a help action or a spell like Fairy Fire or something is giving me advantage anyway, cool. This is awesome. I don't need to use Reckless Attack for advantage. But then, yeah, it feels really bad that you're giving up advantage. I'm giving this feature 7 out of 10 because for me, you have to have advantage from another source to give up the advantage from Reckless Attack. Advantage is just that good. Advantage is one of the most powerful things you can give a marshal, or anybody really. Granting advantage is super powerful. It's a 5e thing that just is wonderful for boosting everything. So, good in some situations, but not a lot. So, 7 out of 10 for Brutal Strike. Level 11, you gain the power Relentless Rage. Relentless Rage says that while you're raging, you can't really die. If effect would knock you to 0 hit points, you can make a Constitution save. It starts at DC 10, ironically enough, which you're definitely gonna get. Like you're gonna make that. Then you drop to a number of hit points equal to twice your Barbarian level. So they knock you to 0, and in actuality, you go up to 22 at this point. That's awesome. And you can do this multiple times. The DC of the con save just keeps going up by 5 every time you do it. And then when you rest, it resets. But yeah, this basically means that when you're down at super low health, you've got 2 or 3 good hits that the enemy can get on you. Even something like a crit, as long as it doesn't kill you outright, it's not going to knock you down. It's funny if the idea that you could be at just 1 or 2 hit points, somebody hits you really hard with a crit, and then you heal 20 hit points instead of go down. Fantastic feature, and I give it 10 out of 10. Level 13, you get Improved Brutal Strike. This gives you more options for your Brutal Strike, so you can still forego your advantage from Reckless Attack and do other things. Staggering Blow. This gives them, this makes it so the enemy you hit, you're still doing the D10 extra damage, and it makes the enemy you hit not able to do opportunity attacks, which is okay, and gives them disadvantage on their next saving throw. That's good. If you're setting up an enemy for the wizard to like hit them with a powerful spell or a save or suck, you can just do a staggering blow on them, give them disadvantage on the next save that anyone gives them. Very, very good. And the other thing would be Sundering Blow. This actually means that when you hit this creature, the next ally that hits them with an attack gets a +5 to that attack, which mathematically is very similar to giving them advantage. So you hit an enemy and it sunders them, which kind of like, oh god. And that means that the next person to hit them has advantage. Very handy as well. You can't use it yourself. Like, you can't Sundering Blow and then set yourself up with advantage on your next hit. It has to be an ally. But that's still good, and I like these options. I'm still not sure that they're better than advantage. That staggering one can really help on specific situations, for sure. I might give up advantage for that, especially if I'm hitting, like, you know, an easy-to-hit target, but it's got, like, a bucket load of resistances or hit points, and I need my spellcaster to land something solid. Yeah, I definitely use it then. So I'm going to give this 8 out of 10. We're getting better, but we're still not quite going to be using this all the time. I'm still going to be using advantage most of the time. Level 15, we have Persistent Rage. This means that once per day, when you roll initiative, you can regain all your rage juices back. So at this point, you have like 5 of them, I think. And that's pretty good. 5 a day, plus 1 on a short rest. So that's like 6 in a day you've got. That's probably all that you need. But if you're using it a lot for skill challenges, perception, stealth, etc., you may not have one for every single fight. So now, here at level 15, or you roll initiative when you've run out of rages, you get them all back. So now, in reality, you've got 11 per day, assuming you get a short rest and you have at least 1 fight. That's fine. I think it's a little excessive most of the time, but it could come in handy sometimes. The real powerful feature here is that you don't need to sustain your rage. No longer do you need to use a bonus action, hit someone, or force a saving throw to keep the rage going. But again, most of the time that's not going to be an issue. Having the bonus action to like fall back on, and you're going to be hitting people most of the time when you're raging anyway. So these both feel, this feature, Persistent Rage, both feel good, but kind of unnecessary. Like, it's not likely you're going to be running out of rages most days. And it's not likely that you're going to need to sustain your rage with the bonus action most fights. So, 7 out of 10. Good on occasion. Level 17, you get Improved Brutal Strike again. This is actually going to buff your 1d10 extra damage to 2d10. That's not bad. That means that you're effectively getting a small smite once a turn for free. And you can use 2 effects from your Brutal Strikes. So you can Forceful Blow and Hamstring Blow, or Sunder and Stagger, or whatever. You can combine them as you see fit. Okay, now it sounds like it might be worth advantage. Now, giving up advantage to give them no opportunity attacks, push them 15 feet, move half your movement speed, and give them disadvantage on their next save, that might be worth giving up your advantage. And you're getting 2d10 extra. So I'm going to say that we've reached the point where this is equal to Reckless Attack, 9 out of 10. Still not perfect. I'd still love it if you could be like, instead of 2 different effects, I'd rather just say, I have advantage and I can use a Brutal Strike power at level 17. That doesn't feel broken to me. But this is good. I like that we finally got here in the late game. Speaking of the late game, level 18. Indomitable Might. If you do a strength save or a strength check, and the final score, so this is after your modifiers and your proficiency and all that stuff, is lower than your strength score, which is likely 20 at this level, you can just use your strength score instead. The idea here is that if you make an athletics check, or one of your primal knowledge checks, like intimidation or something, and your total roll is less than 20, you can just say, okay, I'm just going to use my strength score. It's kind of like the Rogue's reliable talent feature, guaranteeing a certain number, but instead of being the die, it's the total check. But 20's fine. 20 will get you past most saves, most checks. Even at level 18, you're going to have to be fighting, like, the big bad for that not to work. I think this is 10 out of 10 for sure, because it's going to make, especially when you use Primal Knowledge, it's going to give you several skills that it's really hard to fail in. And I think that's really powerful, especially on a Barbarian, of all people. So 10 out of 10. Then finally, at level 20, you are the Primal Champion. The power of the wilds finally imbues you past the power of the most powerful people in the world, and your strength and your constitution both go up by 4 points. This means that if you've managed to max out your strength and con, they're going to go up to 24. They go up to a maximum of 25. The reason for this is that epic boons happen at level 19, and they can buff you past level 20, or past a skill of 20, a stat of 20. So this can get you up to 25 in theory. But even if you were just at 20 with your strength and con, now you're at 24. This gives your modifier a +7 to those things, plus the 6 in any proficiencies you have. And yeah, that's good. That's really good. There's a lot of really powerful monsters in D&D whose strength is in the low 20s, and now you're stronger than them. And your constitution as well is also really, really high. And even if you didn't max your constitution, it still goes up by 4. So if you were like 20 strength, 18 con at this level, now you're 24 strength, 22 con. It's amazing. It's very, very worthy of a capstone feature. And if you did 20 levels of Barbarian, you deserve this. So 10 out of 10. That's it. That is the Barbarian class. This is a lot to talk about here. I really like everything that I've seen. Nothing's perfect. The Brutal Strike is an interesting choice, an interesting design space. Most everything else here is solid. I don't think that there's anything really wrong with the Barbarian. Lots of stuff that boosts speed, battlefield control, maneuverability. The Primal Knowledge feature is fantastic. The final capstone feature is good. There's just really good stuff here. The Barbarian now feels like it scales a little better than it used to, and has more skills than it used to, more skill utility. Yeah, just lots of good things here. I don't feel like everyone's just going to be dipping into Barbarian for rage and extra attack and reckless attack and then leaving. Good reasons to keep going. I give Barbarian overall 9 out of 10. They're not broken, not all of their features are amazing, but most of them are really good. And if you want to play into that theme of being the super strong, super crazy martial character at the front of battle who also can channel their energy into utility and productive skill stuff, you are definitely going to love this class. I highly recommend Barbarian to anyone who wants to try it. This has been the Relaxed Fantasy Review. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe down below. Have a look for the join button down there, and keep your eyes peeled for more class reviews coming down the line soon. Have a good one, my friends.